Mhm. So, hello. Today I'm going to show you how Seven Stock, so-called Magnificent Seven, has hijacked the S&P 500 over the past decade. And S&P 500 is no longer the best option to diversify your risk. So, we'll go through four parts: the introduction, challenge, source of data, and methodology. And then we'll analyze those data, and finally we will have a small summary. So let's talk about why this matter. So um Max 7 have a very high concentration in S&P 500, but most passive investors do not notice them and invest most of their money into S&P 500. And but those money are one third of those money are going to the Max 7. So they are investing most of their money to um the seven companies. So we are here to answer two questions. How dominant is Max 7 to the market? And can investors still diverse their risk through S&P 500? Before talking the results, let's talk about challenges first. So there's no public data to show total market cap of for S&P 500. And my original plan is to summon 500 individual market caps every day, but the index constitution the index constitution changed over time, so the historical data is quite hard to find and quite messy. So I use a new method, so-called S&P 500 divisor, that is a measure of price to total market cap. Despite it only released each quarter, is enough for our analysis, and actually the divisor only fluctuate on a certain range, so there's no much influence to our analysis and our results. So I got more than 2,500 trading days over past 10 years, and for each Max 7 stock, I multiply the historical price to their shares outstanding to calculate their market cap, and so do S&P 500. And I use Excel to get the data, and also Y chart to get the S&P 500 divisor data as well. And here are the steps I do to create those things. And so first of all, as you can see, the first results show the weight of Max 7. And as you can see, in late 2015, the Max 7 was roughly 10% of the S&P 500. But over 10 years, it rapidly increased, and to now is around 37%, and it increased by a lot. Aside from the weight, I also calculated how dominance is of the Max 7 and the rest of the market. And if the Max 7 contribute more to the index than the rest of the market combined, you can that day will count as a like dominant day of Max 7. And as you can see, the percentage of dominant day is keep increasing, and right now almost a half of the times are dominated by like Max 7. So let's talk about the return. If you invest $100 in 2050, you get quite a much larger by investing Max 7 than that of S&P 500 and S&P 500 without Max 7. And you also can see that S&P 500 is more than S&P 500 without Max 7 by a lot, quite a lot, like 80% to 2 times or 3 times. Like, but um interesting thing is that the market trend are still mostly the same. And you can also see a upward trend and downward trend of Max 7 and S&P 500 without Max 7 to 500. Um, but it's worth noting that those the correlation is still quite high. It's mostly above 0.8, and some are all almost 1. So like it's highly correlated to each other, to S&P 500 for both Max 7 and the rest of the market. So the conclusion is that Max 7 is very extremely dominant. So first of all, the rate is increased rapidly to 1/3, more than 1/3 now, and it dominates the market by half of the time, almost half the time. And the correlation of Max 7 to the market is also increasing. So the conclusion is that the market or the S&P 500 is mostly driven by the Max 7 right now. But can investors still diverse their risk through S&P 500? Actually, it depends. As you can see, the correlation of the rest of the market is still high, despite the decreasing trend. That means that despite Max 7 is like hijacking the whole market, they are still going up and down with the whole market. So you are still investing the whole market, but you are just investing more on Max 7. But the market tightly follow Max 7, so if you want to diverse your risk, aside from market risk, you better to buy some capital upside from those market. So here is the end of the presentation. Thank you.